There comes a moment in every chosen one's life when hesitation is no longer an option. When the whispers of doubt, the distractions of the world, and the weight of the past must all be cast aside. That moment is now. You were never meant to fit in. From the very beginning, something about you was different. You saw things others couldn't see. You felt things on a deeper level. You walked alone, not because you wanted to, but because you were set apart. But set apart for what? For something greater than yourself. The trials, the betrayals, the seasons of silence, they weren't punishment, they were preparation. God was training you in the fire so you could stand in the storm. He was refining you, molding you, shaping you into the warrior he needs for this final hour. And make no mistake, the enemy knew who you were before you did. That's why you faced battles that didn't make sense. That's why people turned against you when you did nothing but love them. That's why doors slammed shut when you knocked with pure intentions. It wasn't rejection, it was redirection. Because God doesn't let his chosen ones settle for less than their purpose. But now the time has come. This is your final strategy. From this moment forward, move with wisdom. Speak less, plan more, pray harder. The enemy thrives on your reaction. But when you move in silence, you move with power. Your next steps must be intentional, calculated, covered by divine wisdom. God has already made his decision. You are the one. The wait is over. The season of wondering, of questioning, of second guessing, it's done. But listen to me. This isn't about proving yourself to people. This isn't about seeking validation. This is about walking in what was already written for you. Chosen one, your legacy is at stake. Your obedience will shift generations. Your purpose will shake the very foundation of the enemy's plans. But you must step into it boldly. No more waiting, no more fear. God has decided, now it's your move. From the moment you took your first breath, you were different. You didn't blend in no matter how hard you tried. There was something about you, an energy, a presence, a depth that set you apart. Maybe you felt it as a child, that sense of being on the outside looking in. While others moved with the crowd, you questioned things. You saw through the illusions. You felt things deeply, carried burdens that weren't yours, and had wisdom beyond your years. That wasn't by accident. That was divine design. God didn't create you to walk an ordinary path. He didn't wire you to follow trends, to chase approval, or to live life on autopilot. You were marked before you even knew who you were. The calling on your life has been there from the beginning, and with that calling comes separation. Separation from the familiar, from the comfortable, from the easy road. And sometimes that separation hurts. You've been misunderstood, rejected, overlooked. People you loved walked away, not realizing they were leaving someone chosen by God. And yet, through all of it, you endured. Not because you were lucky, not because you were strong on your own, but because God's hand was on you. You were never meant to fit in because you were meant to stand out. The weight you carry, the fire inside you, the vision that won't let you rest. It's all proof that you were born for something greater. So stop doubting it. Stop running from it. Stop trying to blend in when you were created to lead. Being set apart isn't a burden, it's a blessing. And it's time to walk in it. Pain has never been just pain for you. It's been a teacher, a refiner, a sculptor, shaping you into the person you were meant to become. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every closed door, it wasn't there to destroy you. It was there to train you, to prepare you, to toughen your spirit and sharpen your mind. God doesn't waste pain. When he calls someone for a higher purpose, he allows them to go through seasons of struggle because he knows that destiny requires discipline. He knows that purpose requires perseverance. He knows that to carry the weight of your calling, you must first be strengthened in the fire. Look back at your life, the moments that broke you, the nights you cried in silence, the times you thought you wouldn't make it. Those weren't coincidences. They were intentional seasons of growth. God was stripping away what you didn't need. He was cutting ties with people who couldn't go where you were headed. He was forcing you to rely on him when everything else failed. You see, pain is not a punishment, it's preparation. While others took shortcuts, you had to take the long road. While others lived in comfort, you were stretched beyond your limits. And now, because of it, you are stronger, wiser, sharper. You've built resilience that no enemy can shake. The enemy thought the pain would break you, but God used it to make you. And now, after all you've endured, you're not just standing, you're rising. Because what was meant to destroy you only prepared you for what's coming next. The enemy recognized you before you even recognized yourself. He saw your potential before you could see it. He knew the power inside you, the anointing on your life, the impact you were destined to make. And that's why the attacks came early. That's why the battles started before you even understood what was happening. Because when you are chosen, you are also targeted. Think about it. Why would the enemy waste time on someone who isn't a threat? He wouldn't. But you were always different. From childhood, you faced things that others didn't. You were misunderstood, rejected, and placed in situations that forced you to grow up faster than most. That wasn't random. That was spiritual warfare. The enemy knew that if he could break you before you stepped into your purpose, he could stop the impact you were meant to have. That's why certain people turned against you without reason. That's why opportunities you deserved were blocked. That's why the enemy used the very people you loved to hurt you the most. It wasn't about them. It was about the assignment on your life. The enemy wasn't after your feelings. He was after your faith. He wanted to shake your belief in yourself, in your calling, in God's plan. But what he didn't realize is that every attack only made you stronger. Every betrayal pushed you closer to God. Every obstacle became a lesson that sharpened your discernment. And now, here you are, still standing, still fighting, still rising. That's the proof that the enemy's plan failed. You are not weak. You are not defeated. You are a warrior, and the enemy knows it. That's why the pressure has been so intense, because he sees what's coming. He sees the breakthrough, the blessings, the doors opening, and he knows there's nothing he can do to stop it. Now is not the time to announce your every move. Now is not the time to explain yourself to people who were never meant to understand you. This is the time for discipline, for focus, for silence. Because what God is doing in your life is too big, too important, too sacred to be exposed prematurely. The enemy works through distraction. He thrives on chaos. He uses people to discourage you, to plant seeds of doubt, to make you second guess what you already know. But when you move in silence, you move with power. You take away the enemy's ability to interfere because he can't fight what he can't see. Look back at your life. How many times did you share your plans only for things to suddenly go wrong? How many times did you trust the wrong people with your vision only to be met with jealousy, negativity, or unexpected setbacks? That wasn't a coincidence. Some things fail not because they weren't meant for you, but because they were spoken too soon, exposed too early. Or God is telling you, this time, keep it quiet, move differently, let your results speak for you, let your success be the announcement. There's no need to prove anything to anyone. The ones who doubted you will see, the ones who underestimated you will witness what God is doing, but you don't need their validation. This is your final strategy. Protect your vision, guard your energy, work in silence, and let God reveal the masterpiece when it's finished, because when it's time, No force in hell can stop what God has already set in motion. There is no more waiting, no more questioning, no more wondering if you're ready, if you're worthy, if it's really meant for you. God has already decided. The door has already been opened in the spirit. The favor has already been released. It's your time. For so long, you felt stuck in a cycle, working, preparing, growing, but never quite stepping into the fullness of what you knew deep down was meant for you. You saw glimpses of it. You felt it in your spirit. But every time you tried to move forward, it seemed like something held you back. Delays, obstacles, distractions. It felt like the promise was always just out of reach. But that season is over. God is not a God of confusion. When he speaks, when he calls, when he opens a door, no one can shut it. And right now, that door is standing wide open in front of you. The question is, will you walk through it? Because here's the truth. The decision has already been made. The promise is yours. The anointing is yours. The opportunity is yours. But it's up to you to step into it. No more doubting yourself. No more waiting for permission. No more expecting others to validate what God already confirmed. This is your moment. Everything you've been through has led to this point. Every struggle, every lesson, every painful season, it was all preparation for what's about to happen. Now, it's on you. Will you step forward in faith, or will you shrink back in fear? Will you rise to the occasion, or will you let doubt talk you out of your destiny? You don't have time to hesitate. The shift has already taken place. God has decided. Now you must move. Because when God says it's your time, nothing and no one can stop it. Long after you're gone, what will they say about you? What impact will you have left? What will stand as proof that you walked this earth with purpose, that you didn't just exist, but truly lived? Because in the end, it won't be your words that define you. It will be your actions, your choices, the lives you touched along the way. Your legacy isn't built in a single moment. It's shaped by the way you carry yourself, by the battles you've fought, by the wisdom you've gained through struggle. Every lesson you've learned, every challenge you've overcome, every time you kept going when quitting would have been easier. That's your legacy in the making. And right now, you are writing the story that will be told about you. This is bigger than you. This isn't just about your success, your comfort, or your personal achievements. This is about what you leave behind. The impact you make will reach beyond your lifetime. The people you inspire, the minds you influence, the example you set, those will live on long after you take your last breath. But here's the truth. You don't get to build a legacy by playing it safe. You don't get to leave a mark on this world by hiding in the shadows, by shrinking to make others comfortable, by doubting what God has placed inside you. You build a legacy by stepping into your calling with boldness, by choosing purpose over fear, by refusing to let the enemy silence your voice or dim your light. One day, when your name is spoken, it won't be because you talked about what you were going to do. It will be because you did it. Your work, your discipline, your faith, that will speak louder than anything you could ever say. So ask yourself, what are you building? What are you fighting for? What are you leaving behind? Because whether you realize it or not, your legacy is forming with every step you take. Make sure it speaks of a life well lived, a mission well fulfilled, and a purpose. Chosen ones, this is your final strategy. God has decided. There comes a time in life when everything you've endured suddenly makes sense. Every struggle, every setback, every lonely night, it was all leading to this moment. You were never meant to fit in. You were never meant to follow the crowd. You were chosen, set apart from birth, designed for something greater than yourself. And because of that, your journey was never going to be easy. You see, the pain you went through wasn't for nothing. God was training you in silence, preparing you through the storm, strengthening you through the betrayals. Every tear you cried was watering the seeds of your destiny. Every loss you suffered was making room for something greater. While others were being handed their blessings, you were being built to carry yours. Because the weight of your calling required endurance, and endurance is only built through struggle. The enemy knew who you were before you did. That's why the attacks came early. That's why you face rejection, opposition, and resistance at every turn. Because when you are chosen, you are also a threat. The enemy saw your potential, your anointing, your divine assignment, and he did everything in his power to break you before you could step into it. But what he didn't realize is that all he did was push you closer to God. Every attack only made you stronger. Every setback only positioned you for a greater comeback. And now the time has come. This is your final strategy. Move in silence. You don't need to announce your next move. You don't need to seek validation. The enemy works through distraction, through doubt, through the people closest to you. But when you move in silence, you move with power. This time, let your actions speak. Let your results speak. Let your success be the announcement. Because when God is positioning you, you don't have to prove yourself. He will prove himself through you. God has already decided it's your time. The waiting season is over. No more questioning, no more hesitation, no more wondering if you're ready. God wouldn't call you if you weren't ready. He wouldn't open the door if you weren't prepared to walk through it. The decision has been made. The favor has been released. But it's up to you to step into it. You cannot afford to shrink back now. You cannot afford to let fear rob you of what is already yours. Because this is bigger than you. Your legacy is at stake. The impact you are meant to make will reach beyond your lifetime. The lives you touch, the example you set, the purpose you fulfill, it will speak for you long after you're gone. But legacy isn't built by waiting. It's built by stepping up, by taking action, by refusing to let anything or anyone, including yourself, hold you back. So, chosen one, hear me clearly. The time is now. The shift has already taken place. The doors are open. The promise is waiting. God has decided. Now what will you do?